Hello, anybody, somebody, nobody, whoever may never see this. This is Siegfried Alexander Faust, the Whiff. Come back to you some more podcast. Actually, I've done a podcast in a long minute, almost like a year and a half. This time I'm gonna be joined by my buddy Desert Soul. Can you say hi, Soul?
Yeah.
And we were just bored and we're talking about shit. We usually rant, but some of this could be funny or saved or used for a podcast, and so might do some more of these in the future. With that said, we were both kind of bored and we're just beating around topics, and he actually came up with the topic. I was kind of not doing that my part, and so we're gonna be talking about aliens. First part, in regards to aliens, definition of foreigner, especially not one who is a naturalized citizen of a country where they are living, an illegal alien, or hypothetical or fictional being from a similar world or another world, or a plant animal species originally introduced from another country and later naturalized. And so, to be more specific, we're going to be talking about ET, extraterrestrial life, aliens. So, that would be like the objective definition for the most part that's agreed upon people, Oxford, etc., about what is an alien. I think, again, it said possible fictional, but like, I think that's because, we haven't encountered anything besides would be like, I guess maybe the comet life. I don't even know. Have we encountered bacteria from like passing comets and shit? I don't think we've even done any of that, right?
Not yet. That would be pretty revolutionary.
Yeah, because that would be that there is, some form of life outside
That
the
would
universe.
be the confirmation that it can be elsewhere.
Yeah, and then from there it's quote unquote, is it intelligent? To some degree, or I would say between some form of life and intelligent, between like algae and some other civilization, is just habitat creatures. So anything quadrupedal, bipedal, etc. creatures that have habitats out above the bacteria stage for the most part.
To be perfectly frank, it doesn't matter what kind of life we find out there. If we find traces of anything whatsoever,
It is alien.
all that means is that it could have the potential to become intelligent at some point. So even if we just discover some stupid flu from another world, that's good enough.
Now, a lot of people, of course, it's a big thing because it hasn't really happened to us yet, or at least as far as we widely know for the wider amount of humanity and societies, etc. There's the whole rabbit hole of the past, data, religions, historical history, conspiracies. The list goes on and on. We'll touch on that stuff,
Nobody's
but
ever been to Area 51.
I have the was it aquatic one, because
What?
the Navy has an Area 51. It's just like somewhere in the Pacific. It's just a it's ocean.
Alright, fair enough.
It's still an area. It's still a thing. So a lot of people, of course, interested in this, as they should be. It is something that'd be pretty big. Something, if I can sidestep for a second, get a quote I really like. Is by Arthur C. Clarke. Two possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe, or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. There's a lot of sci-fi films where man versus outside force, where we just get destroyed or we're threatened, and of course Hollywood makes it so we succeed. But I mean, realistically, if they come to us, we're boned. This is an War of the Worlds. Oh no, the water is gonna save us. Like, we're if they have like that shit makes no sense and how dumb they would have to be. In my opinion, I think it's a realistic assessment. We'd be screwed. But it doesn't mean necessarily that if we have extraterrestrial life visit us, that they would be hostile. But there's some arguments to be made that it is more objectively beneficial for them if they can just take out a planet and just take a free world, Stellaris style. Then if there's that much of a difference and easy take opportunity, that why would they make any concessions about it, or try to be insidious when it'd just be easier just to straight up take it. Uh, I don't know, and so I think that's a lot of popularity stuff. It makes a lot of money, it sells. A lot of people invested in it, and it's quite reasonable. And you could take a branch because of all the conspiracy stuff and say, you know what if it's fucking true? What if it's fucking true? So on that note, what are your thoughts on ET? Do you think they currently exist? And then if you think they currently exist, do you think they have been to Earth in the last 2,000 years? And like, or much sooner? Or anything else?
Man, what a question. Uh, I do think that there is life out there at the same time that humanity exists.
By out
Whether
there,
or
I didn't
not,
mean by out there, so I don't want to cut you off too much. Do you mean
in
Milky
our
Way
galaxy.
or?
Yes, in our
Okay, okay.
galaxy. It's almost certain that it exists somewhere
I 100% agree.
in reality.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
Just because of how much stuff there is out there. However, I I believe that aliens have been to Earth? Probably not, but I'm leaving it open enough because there's some weird things like insert the pyramid meme here.
Yeah.
You have like 4 or 5 ancient civilizations that have absolutely no contact with one another, all building similar structures, and that could very well just be a fluke of this was a mathematically arrived at thing, and so that's the explanation for it. But for all I know, it could very well have been that they were taught to do it. Whether that's aliens or more advanced humanity, take your pick. But I think that the possibility is at least there. Maybe not likely, but it is possible.
Now, about the last 2,000 years or much sooner, possibly. Have we had contact and we are, as a greater populace, not aware of it because of governmental control or mind probe or whatever the fuck? Take your pick.
That one I actually am a little more forgiving of. There's a lot of UFO sightings that do things that our technology doesn't do. It could be doctored, could be fake footage. I can't say, but if some of the UFO videos, even a tiny percentage of them, have any basis in truth, there's some impressive shit out there that is either not from Earth or that Earth is doing a very good job of covering up.
So on that note, my thoughts on that before we talk a bit more is that I think, of course, in the Milky Way as well. Maybe I'm being hopeful, but I think there totally is. Now, if it's been soon, I don't really think I necessarily care. To me, it's like if they have been soon, and if it's from, and this is going to lead into what I'm going to start to ask after this, which is threatening, non-threatening, etc., is that well, if they have been here, why are we still here? So that should quote unquote be a good sign? Question mark.
Oh,
And so you could say there's insidious ploys in the background schemes, but just as well there could not be. And it could be a little Men in Blacky, and there's technology we're not aware of, and that's a whole other thing, rabbit hole of government holding back technology, maybe, etc., etc. But regarding aliens, I'm comfortable living my life thinking that they have not visited. We do not have any confirmation, and that a lot of it is hokey pokey. But I could just as well be proved wrong because I'm in a sedation of stagnation in my life of just comfortable mediocrity. So it does right now until aliens exist or don't exist. Even if it's a huge event for mankind, I still got to take a shit and walk my dog later. Nothing's gonna really significantly change for me. If we get wiped out, then we get wiped out. And if I have to stop the end of the world, I don't really have that kind of Kamehameha ability. So, no matter what far left, far right, up, down direction the whole aliens thing goes, it's kind of met to me. Now, regarding the next thing I wanted to ask, and this might be maybe one more question or pair of questions after this, and we can cut it, because I usually do 15-20 minutes or so, is versus an hour, 2 hour fucking documentary thoughts of ranting. I ain't no Joe Rogan. Is do you think if they are superior, we would actually have a chance to survive if they are antagonistic, and or do you think humanity would be willing, because there's like one or two movies about this, to be subservient, and then after that there's a caveat as well of, do you think we would do the same thing? Do you think if we were able to be a superior light speed nation of, species, sorry, that if we took over and we found a planet of, dumb monkey people nuking themselves and shit, and, all this other crazy shit in the last 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, a million years, that if we not just wipe them out, or would we, slowly, rise them up?
I don't think we would wipe them out because we have enough of a conscience in our species, broadly speaking, that we don't want to wipe ourselves out. And look how empathetic we are to, like, our dogs. So, no, I don't think we would go over and just straight eradicate them unless they had some quirk of personality or culture that just made them, like, the absolute epitome of our enemy. Like, if they were some...
Drukari.
Yeah, like, if they were just, like, absolutely depraved, or if they had something, like, they were xenophobic to the point where they just can't tolerate anything else, then, yeah, maybe we wipe them out.
It's survival at that point.
Not even that, just because it's inconvenience. But, yes, they would justify...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, if we had the edge.
With that said...
So, table flip.
If we didn't have, like, some goofy reason like that to go to war with them, then no. I think we would definitely Lewis and Clark, as we have through history, and if anybody finds us, I think we would be on the other end of Lewis and Clark.
Yeah. Now, do you think we would be subservient through the ages? Or do you think we would, go down guns blazing until we become, put in, like, camps and shit?
Both.
I agree.
You can see it now with how people act depending on regime changes in nations, that you have some people who are gutsy enough to say, I'm not standing for this, and take action against whatever the powers that be are. And then you have other people that play it safe and say, I'm just going to make the best of what I'm subject to. And it is good for us to have
some fight and flight.
If, like, strictly from the evolutionary standpoint, having both of those makes sure that one way or another the species will survive. But it's possible that if we're faced with something like that, that what's going to end up happening is that we're only left with one of those groups because of the pressure of the alien species.
I think I completely agree with your mindset for my own.
There is one important thing that I need to bring up, though.
Shoot. Preach, brother.
Aliens going to war with each other. And that's this. If you do find not only just another alien species, but an intelligent one, that has a whole host of problems. Because that means if we're finding an intelligent species within, like, the next 100 years, that means they're very close to us in terms of, like, galactic distances.
Oh, yeah.
If we find someone close to us, that means intelligent life is not very rare, and that means there's going to be others watching. So how you interact with other species is going to be noticed. Even if they don't see it in time to intervene, we get light from galaxies that the light was created millions of years ago and is only just now reaching us. That light, as it travels across our galaxy, radio signals, heat signatures, what have you, there's going to be telltale signs that persist long after the deed is done, and somebody's going to know what you did, whatever that may be.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I'm kept up at night with some thoughts regarding black holes, and, like, they're just in some really odd spots, and we haven't seen any big advances in civilization, so, like, I'm a fearmonger of science to some degree. Like, what if there's some big advancement leap that a lot of civilizations come across, and then that's what does them in? They get cocky, or maybe there's a civilization going around just destroying everyone else. Overall, I am empathetic, as long as I can exist to be, and so I would like to have other aliens and civilizations. There's a lot of sci-fi futuristic stories about such. Of course, it may not be all good, and if there's a bad event, then there's a rally to the flag effect that would be extremely likely to occur, along with split factions. And overall, I think it's fun to talk about, but I'm not personally doing too much more of a deep dive into this. Is there anything else you think we should touch on in the next 4 to 5 minutes?
I don't think we went into enough detail for us to say anything else that would matter on it. So I think we pretty much hit some of the bigger things related to what if aliens exist.
You know what? I have one more question. Here we go. Do you think, besides gaining the ability for interstellar travel, which would include, light speed, probably basically, or wormhole equivalent, and spaceships, do you think there's any other quantifying factors for us to be considered if there was, a galactic empire, republic, etc., for inclusion or representation or acknowledgement that humanity would need to work on?
Maybe. That one's hard to answer because we don't have alien psychology to look at. We only have our own. So the classic ones for that are, like you said, FTL. Like, once you're able to expand beyond your home planet, then what you do starts to become the concern of everyone else in the galaxy. So that could be the trigger. It could just be some level of sapience, and then that's decided by whoever laid the foundations. So if you have an alien race that's genius level, like their toddlers can do what Einstein does, like if you have that, then we may not meet the bar of intelligence for them.
For a long
So,
time to come, yeah. And then,
yeah, so
yeah, it's moot point.
It's difficult to say.
Alright, I think we're good to cut it here. Something we didn't touch on is the fucking DMT Clockwork Elves and shit, and crop circles, but we kind of talked about how there is, like, you mentioned it very lightly, that there's unexplained stuff, or stuff to cause some level of doubt. Maybe not the argument is reasonable, but, to the masses, some level of doubt or questioning or belief that there are currently aliens contacting us or having activities. And to anyone that watches this, shit, maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. I don't fucking know. But like, share, and subscribe. With that said, take care. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll maybe do some more in the future. Later.